Some days it feels like all you hear are the stories that make the world seem heavier. This is 10 Better Minutes, a place to notice recent, real stories that bring a little more balance to how we see things. It is not about ignoring difficult realities, but about paying attention to moments of kindness, resilience, and quiet generosity. Today's stories are a reminder that there is more to the world than just the noise we usually hear. We will begin with a story about a family in Rhode Island who lost their homemade bread stand on opening day and found an unexpected act of help in its place. A Rhode Island family had been dreaming about opening day for weeks, working toward a simple celebration of homemade goodness on their own driveway. Katrina Blancafleur had built a home bakery called Kay's Bake Stand with her sourdough and her bread, and her husband, Ian Sweat, worked with her to create a farm stand for a 4th of July unveiling. They wanted neighbors and runners to see it, taste it, and feel included right before a local road race. But on Independence Day, everything they had planned vanished. When Katrina and Ian went to check the stand, it was gone. Neighbors even shared security footage showing an SUV loading the stand onto its roof around 2 a.m., and a police report was filed. The stand was never recovered. Still, the family did not have to wait in silence. John Adams from Adams Construction heard what happened and offered to build an entirely new stand at no cost. He and his son, Casey, used the original blueprints so the result would match what Katrina and Ian had made. Within days, the finished stand arrived. It looked like the original, down to the details the family recognized right away. Katrina was moved to tears, not because the loss was suddenly erased, but because people stepped in when she needed help most. In the end, it was not only a farm stand that returned, it was a reminder that community can show up quickly, with practical hands and steady hearts, right when you are hoping for something ordinary and good. When the sky turns hazy and smoke rolls in, it can feel like the most important information is the hardest to find, and the most helpful gear is the hardest to reach. This story is about neighbors choosing to solve that problem in real time. First, organizers in clean air clubs and mask blocks started partnering with local businesses and using the lending libraries they had built during the time of COVID. Instead of waiting for slow instructions to trickle out, they reserved and distributed masks and air purifiers where wildfire smoke was hitting communities. In Mendocino County, Maquette Thompson described smoke covering the area as local fires burned more than 1,000 acres, including nearby Feliz and Woodside fires. She and fellow organizers at Mendo Clean Air Club noticed confusion in how to protect people, especially when health departments did not clearly distinguish mask types. They reminded neighbors that N95 masks filter tiny particles far better than cloth or surgical options. So masks and purifiers became something you could actually access quickly through lending libraries, with people able to monitor air quality and book what they needed. And that is the part that stays with you. In Chicago, a lending library of 15 air purifiers became fully booked within hours once people were encouraged to reserve them. In Delaware, Mask Block Delaware organizer Shannon Durkin, who has cystic fibrosis, and her husband Jimmy helped launch distributions in Wilmington, handing out KN95 masks and other personal protective equipment during wildfire smoke from Canada. It is a small shift, but it feels huge. Trust in people, put into action, turning worry into something workable. There are moments at a wedding that feel like they belong in the story forever, and sometimes the happiest endings arrive from the least expected place. This one happened on a beach, at just the moment you might think all hope has slipped away. On the shore of St. Brelade's Bay in the Channel Islands, Abby and Tony Clark were getting married near France when a bee interrupted everything. Abby tried to swat it away, and her engagement ring flew off and landed in the sand. 15 guests searched, moving carefully across the beach, but they could not find it. Tony and Abby made a decision in real time to keep going with the ceremony even without the ring. And then a local volunteer arrived. Steve Andrews, a firefighter who recovers lost rings using a metal detector, came down to the beach to help. He swept the area methodically, and within 10 minutes he located the ring. In the end, the wedding continued exactly as planned, and the relief turned into gratitude. During the celebration, the toastmaster announced that the ring had been returned, and he even mentioned guests Callum and Jess. Abby and Tony were overjoyed, not because the day had been perfect at the start, but because the community showed up for them right when it mattered. It is a simple reminder that trust in people can turn a stressful moment into a shared, bright celebration. It is a rare kind of rescue that feels both practical and deeply hopeful, because it is measured in safe arrivals, careful hands, and time to settle in. Today, we are looking at one of those moments when a long journey ends with care and calm. 7 rescued beluga whales have just reached SeaWorld San Antonio after a nearly 2,000-mile move from Canada. This second transport, completed with the help of an organized international effort, brought 7 female belugas safely to their new home. During the trip, they traveled in specialized water containers with 24-hour veterinarian supervision, so their bodies and routines were supported from start to finish. When Steve Ibell confirmed the second transport was complete, he also shared the names of the 7 females now settling in at SeaWorld San Antonio: Xena, Gemini, Skyla, Mika, Eve, Neva, and Calypso. Once they arrived, the real work of acclimation began. The whales are housed in a private habitat away from public view, where staff can monitor eating, resting, and interactions. Veterinary care and nutrition are ongoing, and their team continues to watch how each whale adjusts, step by steady step, in a space designed for observation and comfort. What stands out to me is how resilience is matched with responsibility. These are not just animals being moved, but individuals being met with safety, attention, and time to begin again. On a Rome evening, something small and human can be the loudest thing in the room. Imagine a couple stepping into a piazza with music, not for an audience, but for themselves. On August 6th, 2026, at about 7 p.m., in Piazza Testaccio, an older man and another senior set up a speaker and began moving to Michael Jackson's Beat It. There was no tip jar, no cameras rigged for a show. They did not stand there waiting to be watched. They practiced a little, then danced in unison for about 20 minutes, cycling through about 5 different songs with choreography that felt familiar and well-rehearsed. Like a neighborhood tradition, they were simply continuing. The whole mood was grounded in the simple act of stepping out, matching the beat, and sharing the rhythm with anyone nearby. What I love is how they kept the evening for the moment. Yes, later, an Instagram clip made its way online and it gathered attention quickly, but in that piazza, it was never about performance for strangers. It was about permission to enjoy yourself in public without asking for approval. Even in a city full of movement, their joy seemed steady, like it had been practiced long before the internet ever noticed. And the next time you think happiness has to be staged to count, this story gently reminds you that sometimes it just needs a song, a speaker, and a willingness to dance. As always, I have a wonderful tip for you to help with your mental reset and to find more ease in your day. Today, we are talking about using music intentionally to soften your emotional edges. Try this the next time you feel yourself getting a little sharp inside, like your thoughts are running too hot and your reactions are starting to stick. Pick one song, not 10. Choose something that matches what you need in that moment, not what you think you should be feeling. If you want calm, go for steady rhythm and softer vocals. If you need grounding, look for slower tempo and warmer tones. Now set up a simple moment. Lower the volume. Take one slow breath as the song begins, and let your body notice where the tension lives. Then, as the music plays, let it do one job for you. Instead of wrestling your feelings into silence, let the melody give them a container. You can still feel everything, but you do not have to act everything. When the track ends, pause for a few breaths and ask, what has shifted? Not whether you are fixed, just what feels slightly more workable. Music can be a gentle dial, turning down the heat just enough to help you choose your next step. Well, friends, that is the end of today's 10 Better Minutes. Thanks for hanging with me for a little while and for letting some steadier news in before you head back to your day. I hope it lands as a quiet reminder that kindness, decency, and real people doing real good still show up, even when the noise gets louder. If you want a few more of these grounded stories to come back to each day, please subscribe or follow so you do not miss the next episode. And if you have a good news story link or something positive happening in your local community, share it in the comments. I genuinely appreciate it, and it helps other listeners find good things too. This is Ian Rhodes with 10 Better Minutes. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.